No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You've got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, good morning, Bronco Nation. Welcome on into a Wednesday edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. My name is BJ Rains. We do this every weekday, 9 a.m., talking Boise State sports with a variety of celebrity co-hosts. And nice enough on a Wednesday to talk some offensive linemen with us is former NFL draft pick, NFL star, and State, Auburn, longtime offensive coach, Brad Bedell joining us. Brad, happy Wednesday, sir. How are we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. We're last week of school here for the kiddos. We're knee-deep into baseball tournament season. We got the Memorial Day tournaments this weekend, so we're busy, but we're also busy here at BNN with this top 25 list we got going on. We got the golf tournament, the happy hour next week, so we're rolling here.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Those baseball tournaments, they drag on, don't they?
They do. Especially when you got two kids that play at different times and you get to spend about 10, 12 hours out at the field on some Saturdays. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
Your kid
Knock me up for a good time.
He doesn't play baseball?
No.
Okay.
No, he ran track, plays basketball, and plays football.
All right.
He
last week of school for him as well, or?
Yeah, they're out Thursday, so hot and heavy, and I'll get tired of him, and it's time for him to go back to school. Probably about mid-July.
We've
get his butt out of my house.
Yeah, we've kept the kids off the video games here for a while. We were pretty good, but once summer hits and my wife and I both work from home, we're gonna have to find some other things to keep them busy. So I may go back into bad parenting mode and just say, go get on the video games and get out of my face.
Well, I played video games as a kid, and I turned out semi-okay. So some would argue.
That's a good point. I'm just not a big fan of some of the shooting games and things. If we can stick to the sports games and some of the other games, I'm okay with that. But I don't need my kid getting off the bus acting like he's playing Fortnite, with a stick. So
that's a good idea. Yeah, I hear you.
We'll see. But they're going to be a pretty busy summer, a lot of baseball tournaments and things. And like I said, next week's our BNN happy hour and golf tournament. We're looking forward to that. But Brad, we've been having fun on this top 25 list here. Oh, by the way, Fortnite rots the brain. Good call. There you go. It's Keaton. So yeah, we're going to stay away from that game for a while. But if you do, oh, by the way, Brad, I have a new thing here. I'm going to try this out here. I think it's going to be on your corner of the screen though. But there's a new thing that'll allow us to, as the comments roll in, they'll automatically just be in the show here. So we're going to see how that. I'm going to try that out today and see what happens. And the comments will kind of be more on screen here than they have been in the past. So we'll see what happens. It's kind of a new beta thing that the company here is testing out. But
cool.
Oh, it is. Roblox is awful too. Alexander's comments down there on the bottom of the screen on Brad Bedell's hand right there. So we'll see what happens here. All right, but we're in our top 25 series, Brad. Last week we talked some defensive linemen, so we had our man Michael Callahan on, but we worked it out nicely this week where we are at number 13 and number 12. I'm sure you're happy to see because we haven't even had Cage Casey yet. So we've got 3 offensive linemen in the top 13 for the most important players on the Boise State football team in 2025. Now, we did finagle the numbers a little bit so we could have it line up with you to come on Wednesday, but I would say Roger and Mason certainly would have been inside the top 20 and would have been probably close to top 15 here if it wasn't just trying to make it work today. But the offensive line as a whole, bringing back, 4 starters, obviously lose Ben Dooley, but, this group, Brad, bringing back 4 starters and a lot of guys that got some starting experience last year due to some injuries. I mean, this offensive line would seem to be in a pretty good place going into 2025.
I mean, that's the thing is we it's just amazing how we say 4 starters, right? Which is not necessarily true. Essentially, they're bringing back 6 starters because you got the Zach Holmes kid started 8 games at center.
Yeah.
And you got Jason Steele started 3 starts. The Tyler kid played 8 starts. Just because they got hit with the injury bug last year, and those 3 got so much playing experience. It's kind of plug and play at the guard spot, right? Made the best man win the job.
Yeah.
But off of those 4, you got 2 others with major playing and starting experience. So it's like, when you say bringing back 4 starters, you're thinking like, oh God, we're going to have to play a kid that's never played. That's not true. They got the backups alone have 16, 19 starts off of 3 kids. So you can't come in and say, well, they don't have any starts. There's going to be kind of a see what happens. No, I expect plug and play and don't miss a beat, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, and you're right. I remember Scott Huff used to always say this. We would always ask about the 5 or whatever, who's the starting 5 and who's here. And he's like, I don't know why you guys care about the starting 5 because the starting 5 never make it through the whole season together anyway. There's always a 6, there's always a 7, there's always an 8. Like it just the way it works in the offensive line more than anything. And so I know fall camp, a lot of that is right, trying to try guys at different spots and use different combinations. And you can think you have the 5 that you love, but if really for an offensive line, if you don't have a solid 6, 7, and 8, is when you start to have problems because you just know that starting 5 is not going to make it all year. It very rarely, if ever, happens. And sure enough, last year, multiple guys go down, all conference type guys in the first, second, third games of the season. And as you're talking about, guys come out of nowhere, former, walk-ons, and Zach Holmes coming in and playing as well as he did. And his first start, I think, was at Oregon in the second game of the season. And then Carreon goes down and Tyler Kyneth comes in. And so really you can talk all you want about the Cage Caseys of the world, but it's the Kyneths and the Holmes and those kind of guys that really could determine the fate of the offensive line throughout the season.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we could talk about Cage. He's the core, right? I mean, he's your core guy. He's the left tackle. He's the one that is going to have the high draft grade. He's first round. There's
some talk maybe about him being another first rounder. If he has a great year.
Absolutely. I mean, we just don't. Yeah, first round. See where he falls in the National Football League. We got a long time for that. But he is a very good left tackle in the Mountain West Conference or wherever they're. Yeah, the Mountain West Conference. One more year.
Yeah, one more year.
So it's he's your core, right? And now it's like, okay, he's good. I think the right guard's really good. And Roger, stay healthy. He missed some games. The right tackle was a great surprise last year, with Hall. And then, your left guard's plug and play. It's really, it's the center again coming down to this year. And trust me, I love Mason. I mean, I signed Mason in December of 2020. And I think when I saw him play live, I was like, okay, I rarely said this, and I'm like, with his size, this guy's going to have a shot in the National Football League. And it's just injury after injury. He hasn't put together an entire injury-free season. And I think if he had that, I think he's in the same conversation because of where he plays at center. It's not a first-round pick, but I think he's a top 2 to 4 round guy, and he just got hit with the injury bug, and that's a key right there. Is can he stay healthy through the course of the season? But if he misses a game or two, you got Zach Holmes, who did an unbelievable job last year, and nobody knew who the hell he was. And he comes into Oregon, has a great game, and now everybody's talking about, wait a minute, this is a walk-on. And former walk-on is a better way of saying it. But it's those are your center is going to be your key factor in getting that going. But that Zach's going to have to play with different units because the communication at that position is so important. The rest of those 4 have to have an understanding of, okay, here's how he operates. Mason may operate something different. And so that's very important. Just the cohesion of that line is the center's communication. And I think that's going to be a big tail come fall camp.
Max Payne saying Holmes was borderline elite against Oregon. And the crazy thing about that is, Brad, is, the first game of the season, Mason Randolph, as we said, goes down. And I every time I say Mason Randolph, I make sure I don't say Mason Rudolph. I know everyone always says the
Sure.
But Mason Randolph, he goes down in the first game of the season. So here comes Zach Holmes, and all of a sudden, I think it was like second or third play of the game, wasn't it? It was very early in the game when Roger Carreon went down with the broken leg in the Oregon game. So now all of a sudden, you've got I think at the time might have still been a walk-on, Zach Holmes, coming over after redshirting, I believe, or not playing at Oregon State. He's your starting center at Oregon, and 3 plays later, you now have Tyler Kyneth, who's barely ever played, have to come in at guard, and those 2 guys in the middle there against a top 10 Oregon team, and, Boise State still ran the ball for, I think, over 200 yards in that game. And it's one thing to have one guy, but 3 plays in to have it change, and all of a sudden now, you lose Carreon, who would have been a huge help for Holmes there in the middle, and now you bring in Kyneth. I mean, you look at that Oregon game and what they ended up doing along that line, kind of piecing that together. That was one of the more impressive, O-line performances of the season.
No, there's no doubt. I think that great job in preparation. We talked about that with Zach, after the game on the show that next week. Great job by everybody just stepping up that game. But it's like, and it's such a cliche, and I hate saying that coaching crap all the time, but when it comes to offensive linemen and you mix and match so much, it has to be, okay, you're tagged as the next man up, you better go. And that could be flipping sides, that can be moving in, moving out, and all kinds of things. But that's why you come out of camp with your starting 5 for game 1, right? But then you're like, okay, here are the top 8 guys I feel real comfortable that we can go win a championship with. And then you're like, okay, 6 can play guard, both guards and centers. 7's my swing tackle. 8, he's kind of my ace in the hole to get me through a game, and then we'll reclassify and see what injury wise we have going to the next game. So I think that's why you see so many offensive linemen, and you go watch a practice, an open practice, and the fans are like, well, why is he playing this? Why is he playing this? Because they have to work all different combinations in different positions, because you never know who's going to have to jump around later in the year, and you want to rep it now, because I don't think it's fair to throw a kid into the fire giving 2 days of solid padded practices to be like, okay, you're going to play this position that you haven't played in 3 years since high school.
Yeah. Now, I want to get back to Carreon and Mason Randolph. There are 2 guys I want to focus on today, but I do want to mention Daylon Matoyer. He was a guy that came over from Mount Sac, and I remember he's number 75. We were at a fall camp practice, and I remember you saying, like, I didn't know, this guy's a JUCO, lower level, whatever, comes over. He's not on my radar right away at practice. And I remember at fall camp practice, you said, 75, is he going to be the starter? And I said, no, I'm not sure. You're like, oh, 75. I like him. Like you watched him and you saw him, and he worked his way up, and he ended up starting 2 games, got in 6 games, 4 regular season games. So it counts as a redshirt last year, made his debut against San Diego State and started at San Jose State, and then started at Wyoming and played 60 snaps again at Wyoming as well. And I remember when he came in, like, because I remember you just going, who's 75? Who's 75? And sure enough, 2 people on here, blue collar, says, don't forget Daylon Matoyer did a great job at right tackle. Max Payne says Matoyer was also really good. So he was another guy that they brought in, wasn't even part of the program until the summer or whatever. And he ends up starting 2 games at right tackle. I mean, you just never know.
No, you don't. And he's twitchy. He's athletic. His change of direction was really good. It just takes you a little while. Now, the other thing is, remember, he preserved his red shirt.
331, by the way.
Yeah. Remember, he only played 3 games. So last year didn't count. He has 4 games to play, and then he burns the red shirt. So he's coming back as a junior. So that's great in the future. But I think he's kind of your X factor, and the Ohio State kid.
Somebody's asking about him here. Yes, he says, sure has been quiet about the 6'5", 317-pound O tackle transfer, Miles Walker. Any word on him? I don't know.
There's nothing to see. There's nothing, guys. There's nothing to see. He didn't play at Ohio State. He hasn't played in a college football game I don't think, I could be wrong. Ohio State blew everybody out. But I do not think he played at Ohio State besides special teams, possibly.
Yeah, or mob. Yeah, he didn't really.
Or mob duty.
So significant snaps.
Yeah, he's an X factor. Those 2 are X factors. They're big. They're long. They're X factors of, okay, where can we play them? And both of them have multiple years to come in and play. It's not a rental. It's not a 1-year rental. They don't need a 1-year rental up front.
Yeah.
So those are 2 X factors of where they're going to play. Number 1, both have the size and the length to play outside. Both of them can play inside. I would think. I know Matoyer can because he's athletic, and he can play guard. There's no doubt in my mind. The Ohio State kid, he's 6'5", he's big. Everything that I've seen on him is long. So he's an X factor. You don't know where they're going to play him and where he's going to try to earn his playing time, because for him to come in is not a plug and play. Is they know that, okay, we want to sign him. We think he's going to be really good. He may not play a whole lot this year. He may not win a spot. That's life.
Well, they're going to lose Cage Casey to the NFL draft after this year. They're going to lose Mason. I believe Mason might actually have 2 years left. I don't know what the rules are on. There's some weird it's so hard. I don't know how they figure it out now with the COVID year that's all gone, but then you have the red shirts and the medical red shirts and everything else. And Mason has at least 1 year left, but he's still on the team, but he might have another year. I'm not sure. And then Roger Carreon, I mean, who knows? I mean, we don't know for sure what this line is going to look like next year, but I mean, you tell me, a scholarship offensive lineman from Ohio State is transferring to Boise State. I don't need to, I mean, you just assume, and fans rightfully so, Brad, just assume that he's probably worthy of playing at some point here pretty soon. If you were a scholarship offensive lineman at Ohio State.
I don't assume anything. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but we also assume a quarterback would be a starting quarterback at Boise State because he was 5 stars and came from SC. I don't assume anything. I don't know. Maybe he just needed a different program, some greener grass, something. I don't know. But I don't assume just because you have 5 stars and you went to Ohio State.
So previous school shouldn't necessarily mean anything.
No, I saw a lot of really bad players at Auburn. That shouldn't have been in Auburn. I've seen some bad guys playing in the SEC. I just don't assume, because I've missed. I'm not saying the kid's a bust. I'm not saying that. Don't take this the wrong way. But maybe possibly Ohio State wasn't the spot for him. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's life. It's just, I don't assume because you came from Ohio State, you are going to come in and play at Boise State. That doesn't happen here. They don't. It's still Boise State, and I believe one won the national championship, but both teams are in the playoff. Both have the most winning traditions in the past 10 years. So let's not just, because he comes from Ohio State, he also transferred to a program that's in the exact same sentences as Ohio State in winning. and winning his competition. So I don't assume he's just going to come in and play.
Now, Sky Ship says, I'm stoked for the O-line this year. Go Tim Keene, go. I'll be honest, I don't know what your relationship is with Tim Keene. He obviously came in to replace you, but it wasn't like you were fired or anything. I mean, you left for Auburn, and then they bring in Tim Keene, and so there's obviously no bad blood or whatever there.
No,
but,
I give Tim Keene all the credit.
Well, I was going to say real quick before you jump in, like, no disrespect to Tim Keene or whatever, but I remember they bring in Tim Plow as the OC. UC Davis. We heard a lot of great things about him, and I believe the O-line coach was one of the last spots they filled. And I know there was some backstory there with you. I don't know all the details or what you want to say, but anyway, long story is he's one of the last ones they fill, and it's like, oh, they're bringing the O-line coach along from UC Davis. Again, no, on paper, looking at resumes, whatever. I know that's in the college coaching ranks. That's not a good way to do it because there's great coaches at every level and all over the place, and I get it. But I remember at the time being a little underwhelmed by the Tim Keene hire. Just didn't know anything about him, didn't know who he was. It's, they can't find anybody to bring in the O-line coach along from UC Davis. Like, it's just Tim Plow's guy. Like, let's just see what happens. But I remember, I wasn't like, and I don't think a ton of fans were just like super fired up. Oh my gosh, they got Tim Keene. But it was apparent pretty quickly the dude knows how to coach O-line. The dude knows what he's talking about and what he's doing. And whether you go back to Scott Huff, to yourself, and you didn't get nearly the credit you deserved. O-line coaches never do. But you go back, there's been a pretty long list of offensive line coaches that have really had success here. I mean, obviously the O-line at Boise State has been consistently putting guys into the NFL and may have another first-round pick now next year. But whether it was Huff, whether it was yourself, I know I'm missing some in the middle there. And you get to, now Tim Keene. I mean, Tim Keene has done a tremendous job with this group, and not only developing the high-end guys, but like we're talking about, having those 6, 7, and 8 guys recruited and developed and ready to go as well. I think Tim Keene does deserve a lot of credit.
There's not a doubt in my mind Tim Keene deserves a lot of credit. I think Tim's done a great job here. I think Tim's a great guy. He's a great football coach. He's a great family man. He's a perfect spot. Boise State's a perfect spot for coach. I think he deserves a lot of credit. He's brought in some guys, and like everything else in this town, I hope, the biggest difference between the offensive line, and I want to make this clear because this is, mark my words, you guys can write it down. This is going to come up next season, okay? And I'll be the first one to defend it. And I'm going to say it now. What's the date? May 21st. This offensive line does not have a generational back behind them. They have really good tailbacks, but they do not have a Heisman finalist behind them. Holes are going to be missed. Okay. There's going to be some tackles in the backfield. And some fans going to say, we need to fire Tim Keene. I guarantee this is going to happen. Tim hasn't had the pleasure of being the offensive line coach at Boise State when things didn't exactly go right? Happened to Scott. Trust me, there's more people dancing in the street getting rid of my butt than care to admit. But it's going to happen. Okay. There's going to be an adjustment because there's a generational back and a top 5 pick behind him. Now we've got tailbacks that are extremely good, just don't have as much playing experience. That's going to take some time. Okay. So let's not do this. Okay. Tim is a great coach with a phenomenal offensive line. And I think that instead of having a 2,500 yard back, they're going to have a 1,400 yard back, 1,500 yard back. They're going to keep the 1,000-yard rusher streak alive. Okay. The last time we haven't had was during COVID, and that's because George didn't even play the whole season.
Yeah.
Okay?
7 games or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I think Tim's a great coach. I think Tim deserves all the credit in the world of putting together this offensive line and developing this offensive line and winning a lot of football games. And you don't do that with a bad offensive line coach.
And by the way, he's over in Germany and Berlin, overseas in England. Like, he's on, I've even been watching his Twitter feed at all, but he's been, they've been, really up in this international recruiting, and they sent Tim Keene for like over a week over to Europe right now. And he's over there evaluating guys in person and meeting with schools and players over there in Europe. So that's a development for Tim Keene as well. Yeah.
Have a pint.
Scott Ford says, Brad, how do you, I don't think that the backfield doesn't have a Heisman finalist yet. He's maybe a little higher on Sire Gaines.
Yes. Hey, Scott. Yeah, I do.
which is no disrespect.
I'm not knocking the tailbacks. Trust me.
The point is they're not Ashton Genty, and I think Sire Gaines, these guys would tell you they're not Ashton Genty. It's not a shot or a negative or a disrespect for any of those guys. He says we haven't seen the best of any of them yet. I would agree with that, Scott. But also let's not just act like you lose Ashton Genty and you're not going to miss a beat this year. There were some plays last year. Let's be honest. A lot of plays where Ashton Genty covered for some missed protections or missed blocks, right?
Which is fine. Makes a running back a running back.
Yes.
But I said this when we talked about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. These kids don't need to be Ashton Genty. And to even compare them and say we don't have a Heisman finalist back there is not fair to the current room. The current room needs to find their own path and be their own football player. We're not looking to – Boise State's not looking to replace a Heisman finalist. And now all of a sudden – Boise State as a Heisman finalist, that means we have another Heisman finalist in the backfield. Not necessarily true. It just doesn't coexist. These kids need to find their own way.
Yeah. You're 50. He says you're actually being generous. He said they would love for a back to get to 1,500 yards this year.
Exactly. But, and sadly, 1,500 yards and tailbacks aren't exactly Heisman finalists don't go on trees. If you really look at the history of it. Right. Yep. You know what? Here's going to be an interesting thing. Notre Dame game. Notre Dame's running back is 1 or 2 in the country.
Where's he from, by the way?
I have no idea. Oh, cool. So he's really good. And so it's going to be an interesting to see. That's going to be a game of, he's 1 or 2 in the country. And so that's going to be a challenging game, and you're going to see, how the running back's going to compare, and how's that going to stack up to what we see and what we have.
So that first game against South Florida on that Thursday has that weird 3:30 start time. I don't know if you saw that or not, Brad. It's 5:30 Eastern because we're trying to do a doubleheader on that Thursday on ESPN. So if it's 3:30 start time on the 29th, we give it 4:30 before the first Tim Keene should be gone. Post comes in. Did you give it an hour or?
No, I don't think. No, I don't think South Florida's. Okay. I haven't studied them as well.
Boise State, I believe,
South Florida.
I believe it was a 10-point road favorite.
Yeah, that's fitting. South Florida's been a 6-win team.
It's in Florida. 5:30 with that humidity going across the country.
That's been proven, that humidity and the plan Boise State has.
It is another NFL stadium Boise State gets to play in, though. They've had a nice little run here because South Florida still plays in Raymond James Stadium right now, the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that is another you throw in the last couple of years playing in Phoenix for the Fiesta Bowl. They played in the LA Bowl 2 years ago. They played in Vegas Stadium, obviously, a couple of times. There's one I think I'm missing, but they've played in 4 or 5 NFL stadiums the last couple of years. So I know it's not a big deal, but that's kind of cool for the kids.
No, it's cool. That's a cool stadium. You got the ship in the end zone. It's a cool stadium. But I don't know if South Florida packs it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. South Florida is one of those teams, like, you can look at them right now and all that. I don't think you should even bother looking at them or their roster until camp starts, because they're going to be signing portal kids all the way up until then. I think they've done some portal things. So that's going to be a game of, okay, let's see what they have come August. And in offensively, I think they're okay. And I don't know. Nothing itself. I don't know. South Florida is not really high on my list right now.
We'll cannot wait to get your scouting report on South Florida closer to the time.
Well, I guarantee they're going to have some big ass dude up front.
Yes. I do want to get back to Carreon and Mason Randolph here in just a second, because Mason pretty well. But folks are watching this show free of charge on YouTube here, thanks to our great sponsors, including our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, Andy Rowe and Company. All your painting needs, those concrete coatings, interior, exterior paintings, hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe, and rowpaint.com. Taco Bell, they just swooped in and grabbed a foursome for the golf tournament. TacoBellWorks.com, the SOM Management Group, the Nicolason family. We appreciate them for their support of Bronco Nation News, and they're hiring. So if you're looking for a job, head on into a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. They got the paperwork right there when you walk in, and pick up some of their delicious food while you're at it, whether it's the cheesy gordita crunch, the cantina bowls, the Lux Cravings boxes, the cheesy roll-ups. So many great options there at Taco Bell. And again, you can get more information, TacoBellWorks.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union. Rain's family made the switch. So happy we did. We didn't realize what we were missing until we made the switch to ICCU. You can do the same at ICCU.com. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game. You looking for a spa? They got you covered. You looking for a pool table for the game room? They got you covered there. What about a sauna? Yep, they got that too. TheSpaTeam.com. Check out all their great options. And again, locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Check them out online at thespateam.com. Hey, the Blue and Orange Store, all your Boise State gear, you can get it at the Blue and Orange Store online, theblueandorangestore.com. Travis Hawks and company, we appreciate him. And they got the best selection, the best prices. They've been around since that first Fiesta Bowl season in 2006. So I know you got a lot of options for Boise State gear, but if you want to support somebody who backs it up with his checkbook when it comes to supporting NIL and supporting the program, and they got some cool things going at the Blue and Orange Store coming up that we'll tell you about soon. But the Blue and Orange Store online, the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Hey, Lithia Ford of Boise, they got you covered right now. A lot of great options when it comes to pre-owned vehicles. The Rains family, we own a pre-owned vehicle from Lithia Ford of Boise. They got some great deals, great prices, and they go through all kinds of testing options and things, so you're not getting a melon. You're getting it the best vehicle you can for the best price. So again, LithiaFordBoise.com. You can view their full inventory. Just check out their showroom, Maple Grove and Fairview there in Boise. Lithia Ford of Boise. And they're giving away a new car for a hole-in-one at the golf tournament next week. You get a hole-in-one, you're driving off the lot there at Timberstone Golf Course with a new vehicle from Lithia Ford of Boise. We appreciate them for their support of Bronco Nation News. And Brad, I know we'll see you out there in the Speedo at our friends at Roaring Springs coming up here shortly, but that you can get $8 off your ticket going to Jackson's. You go to our friends at Jackson's, you buy 2 Coca-Cola products, and you get $8 off a Roaring Springs ticket, and you can get up to 4 of those tickets discounted. So $32 in savings from our friends at Roaring Springs, thanks to Jackson's. So make sure you hit up Jackson's, $8 off. $32 off Roaring Springs tickets. And I believe this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is when they open daily out there at Roaring Springs. So again, Jackson's has you covered out there, and that's any Treasure Valley Jackson's location. All right, Brad, as we continue on here on Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com on a Wednesday, and we're talking Roger Carreon. We're talking Mason Randolph, who, again, in 2020, you signed Mason Randolph. Let's start with Roger Carreon, though, first. 3-star recruit, signed in 2022 out of Jal, New Mexico. And I was talking to him last year. I never got the story done because a lot came up, and then he got hurt, and I'm going to get to it this year. But hearing about Jal, New Mexico, they've got like one stoplight in the town, and it's one of those stoplights that's just flashing. It's not actually a real stoplight. Everybody, there's the one restaurant in town that everybody would go to watch all the games, and very small place. And hearing about the coaches having to fly in on some private plane, like to a town 2 hours away was the nearest airport, and drive in. And they just found this kid out of Jal, New Mexico. And in 2022, that UTEP game, which ended up being Tim Plow's last game as OC, that they lost to UTEP as a huge favorite, and they made changes and brought back Dirk Cutter. He actually got his first career start as a true freshman in that game, and came on in 2023, earned a starting role as a redshirt freshman, played 710 snaps 2 years ago, had a solid 64.6 blocking grade from Pro Football Focus, and I'm taking these numbers from our article by Nathan Carroll, which you can read right now at BroncoNationNews.com. Came in last year, obviously, as huge expectations, was actually on some NFL draft, radars and things, but had that injury that slowed him down, as we talked about in the second game of the season against Oregon. Came back 76 days after breaking his leg, though, Brad Bedell. Came back, worked his way back in barely 2 months. Wasn't quite as good early on, was a little rusty. You could tell. I know that for offensive linemen, it's seen that speed of the game. You just can't replicate the speed and the physicality when you're out injured for multiple months. Brad, maybe we can ask you about that. But he came back, wasn't maybe quite as good early on, but played 335 snaps, 72 were before the injury. Now he's healthy. Now he's back, and there he is showing up on some NFL draft prospect boards, not nearly as high as Cage Casey, obviously, but Roger Carreon at guard, missed a lot last season, but is back. What do you make of Roger Carreon?
I actually really like him. And what I've seen him through the spring as well is I like his leadership qualities as well. Playing, you kind of have what you have. Once again, big, long kid that's physical in the run game that creates the leadership and a work ethic. The one thing, he also carried the flag out, right, for the bowl game? Not the bowl game, the playoff game.
He may have. So. Was he the one that fell down?
I believe so. He got his knee braces caught. What a horrible situation. So no, I think he's a staple. He's a really good football player that leadership qualities, obviously what he brings to the run game. And we know that wasn't a big drop off when he left, but through protection and all that, I think you weren't worried about the one-on-one matchup when he was in the man slide and protection. So I think that's one of the things getting him back will solidify and they only gave up 12 sacks. So I think, him in the lineup brings not only leadership quality, but a physical play in the run game and a really solid pass protection. He's another thing that I saw during individual things like that, coming off that leg and just the change of direction that he brings. I'm excited to see him in fall camp, and to make sure everything's a go, but time rest, broken legs happen, and it's just easy.
The flag was an bad omen, unfortunately, as Austin pointed out in that game. But tell me this.
I felt bad for the kid.
I know it's changed a little bit, Brad, because of the redshirt rule where you can play in the 4 games, and maybe coaches are a little more willing, obviously, to put a guy in. But, up until recent years, it was pretty rare for a true freshman offensive lineman to play, let alone start a game as a true freshman. They just weren't physically, in a lot of places like Boise State, ready physically to make that jump. And it happens sometimes. It's not, unheard of, but I would say, and maybe tell me I'm wrong, but it was fairly rare to remember true freshmen getting much playing time on the offensive line. And for him as a true freshman early in the season, 3rd or 4th game, his freshman year at UTEP to get a start. Does that just tell you a lot about that kid that they felt enough of him as a true freshman to earn a spot in the starting lineup, even for one game? I don't think started or played much the rest of the season, but for one game, for him to step in when they needed him and start, that has to say something about just his development and the fact that if he could do that at that point, that, you probably knew good things were coming.
Oh, there's no doubt, especially not, I don't want to, not where I'm not dogging his hometown, but it's not a high level of football. Right. That jump from where he came in New Mexico to now all of a sudden he's competing in a major Division I football program. The work he put in, how strong he came in as a freshman, and how fast he developed the mental side of the game to get ready for a conference game is really impressive. And it just carried on. Right. And when you saw glimpses of that, you're like, okay, we're going to be okay. And here he is, probably going to get drafted. And one of the core leaders of this line that in the inside it's important that he has that and it's important for the center too. That Rogers played so many games that it helps anybody playing center too. So that's where I think he's a very important in regards of just overall mental game, and his physicality that he brings to the game is something that you just can't stop talking about. And I think sky's the limit for that kid to have a great season. And the one thing is, it's not like it was a rolled ankle, it was a broken leg, right? So it's not a soft tissue. He got rolled up on and snapped his
injury prone or something. It was just a fluke thing.
You can't. It's a fluke thing, right? So I expect him to have a great season, a healthy season. And I think it's important that he does, just because you can be a leader when you're injured, but it's hard, right? You're doing rehab. You're just trying. Your number one goal is to get back on the field, and you're staying engaged in meetings. I'm sure he was helping as much as he can, but he's also probably thinking, okay, I can get back as fast as I can, and I can knock the rust off and get ready for the playoff run. And just his toughness and everything about him is you can't say enough about the kid.
All right. Well, speaking of leadership and toughness, I mean, you could say the same thing about Mason Randolph as well. Roger Carreon was number 13 on our list. Mason Randolph checks in at number 12 on our most important players of the 2025 football team. Signed in 2020 by Brad Bedell. Then you unfortunately didn't get a chance to coach him when you and Harsh and the staff moved on to Auburn. But 2021, three-star recruit. He redshirted in 2021, starts 10 games. Again, redshirt freshman. We're talking young guys being ready to come in and produce. As a redshirt freshman in 2022, he starts 10 games at right guard and only allowed 3 pressures while playing 674 snaps in 2023. 2022, excuse me. 2023 starts the season at left guard, slides over to center when Garrett Curran goes down with injury. Randolph also battled some injuries, but finished the year 13 pressures allowed on 725 snaps, and then started last year against Georgia Southern. Obviously, we said missed the next 10 games, returned against Oregon State to finish, and then finish the season pretty strong. I said Yorba Linda, California. You recruited him. You signed him. Tell us about the recruiting and just what you saw early on from Mason Randolph, and you're probably not surprised to see him as an all Mountain West type guy right now.
No, not at all. I mean, just the toughness and physicality he brought in high school. It's almost like you're watching his film and you're like, oof, like he's going to hurt somebody. And I loved it. I loved he's just an alpha type. He's exactly what you want at center. He's extremely smart, great to talk to. And another one, a little bit like Roger, how quick he developed to come as a redshirt freshman to start all those games inside, just proves to you how smart he is and how good of a football player he is. Now, toughness is never going to be a question with him. There's 2 things about that Mason that I can't say enough of: his toughness and what he will do for the team. And there's a lot of guys that'll get banged up like this. You're like, oh man, maybe this isn't for me. But he loves the game and he loves Boise State football. And so for him to get back, all those injuries, get back for Oregon State and finish this season, it's important that he gets in there. But he's got to stay in there. He's got to continue to take care of his body. And he's had some freak things too. I mean, I think he had an elbow. He's had some lower leg things and things like that, but now he's showing that he's going to be healthy. And as long as he can string that on, there's no doubt that I think he's an all conference center. I don't think that there's not a doubt in my mind, but he's just got to stay on the field to earn it.
Yeah. And the injury this past year was the torn bicep, which apparently, our man Jay Tuss was dealing with that. So he did it over the summer, and we were talking to him about the timeline and what the doctors are saying, all this. Like, apparently Roger Carreon should not have been back. Well, him too, but Mason Randolph should not have been back last season. I mean, you talk about a torn bicep. I mean, they basically announced, they said, like, Roger Carreon, like Spencer Danielson said, Mason Randolph is out for the season. Like, they basically announced him out for the season, and then Mason Randolph was like, well, you may say I'm out for the season. I'm not saying I'm out for the season. And he kept working and a torn bicep, and he missed 10 games. But I mean, that just tells you all you need to know, where he's very easily could have just slowed up the rehab, shut it down, got ready for next season. My coach has already said I'm out for the season. Doctors have said I'm out, and he works his way back and ends up being the starting center in the college football playoff game against Penn State.
There's no doubt. He heals it. The training staff, give them credit. And he gets back on. They put the elbow brace, they lock it so he can't get the full extension, and you take off and you play the game. And that's not a small injury. I mean, that's not a small injury. You tear a bicep. I've been around guys doing it, and it's painful and it's long. And the other thing about it is, remember, when you're doing that, you can't lift a whole lot of upper body. You can go one side of your body, but it's just work ethic of continue to keep his lower body strong, and that's where you're rooting out your defenders and getting to your D line and he doesn't, knowing that it's going to be like this, right? Because you got to lock this elbow out so the bicep can't extend to get torn again. And I mean, in pass protection, he was fine and things like that. It's just I don't think they get much tougher. I really don't. I don't think you get much tougher, and I don't think you don't come back for that if you don't have a care and you just want to get back with the guys and win. And I think that's him.
And tell me this. I mean, both those guys, it would seem like O-line is a tough position to sit out 2 months and then just come back and play game 10. I mean, what, in terms of the physicality, the speed of the game, stuff you can't replicate when you're sitting there in the training room, maybe it's the same for every position, wide receiver, running back, I don't know. But I would seem to me like O-line, D-line might be a little tougher to just flip that switch and turn it back on in a game setting in the middle of October or November. But both those guys, miss 2+ months and then come back. I mean, how tough is that, I guess, to be sitting out that long and then have to come back there at the end of the season?
I think there's two different types, right? You got the Roger and the Masons that have had so much playing experience before injuries that they know the speed of the game. They've been in games, right? You have that game experience where they know what they're expecting. They're still going to be rusty. There's going to be slow things at times.
And I think both guys kind of bring back and play them like limited snaps the first game and then start them the second game.
Exactly. So that's two things. Don't re-injure and just kind of get everything going, right? But if they don't have that game experience, now you're starting to think, is it best for us to not play them or play them in a very limited role, and then maybe in 5 weeks they'll get the whole job back? Well, in these guys' case, they didn't have 5 weeks. They had 2. Yeah. And so, or possibly 3, right? So I think so much game experience helps with that situation. Knowing that first game, there's going to be some rough spots, and it's just getting back, because you can go ones and ones in practice and things like that. It's really not a game. Game speed is just a different animal. So, they got back, which is good to them, but I think with their prior experience helps a lot.
You mentioned watching Mason on film. Is O-line like one of the easier ones or one of the harder ones to watch film? Like, you can see a receiver run routes, you can see a quarterback make throws, a running back like bust through these holes. Like, when you're watching film of an O-lineman trying to, like, how is that? If you know what you're looking for, is it super easy or is it super hard to like identify that this lineman's better than this lineman and things like that in terms of recruiting prep kids?
It's folding. It's like, what are you looking for? So when you're looking at an offensive lineman, there's a couple things. Number one is with his flexibility, right? How flexible is he? Okay, if he's a stiff hip kid, we're gonna have some change of direction issues. Number two is how physical is he? And if you're not a physical offensive lineman in high school, you can't develop that in college. Not as you're going against 300+ pounds kids every week. Okay, and then the other one is just pure. I don't want to say this right. Is he nasty? Is he gonna play to the whistle? And you know what? Is he on the borderline of getting that penalty? And so I've always appreciated that stuff. And then you got to go see him in person, because body type, you can't always see body type on film. He may look. I've been to kids like, oh, I think he's long enough, and I see him, you're like, no, he's not. We can't go on this kid. And then I like to see him practice.
Spring workout or something. You go watch a guy work out for an hour and you just see him in person one time, you can pretty much tell.
Yeah. Well, body type you can.
Okay.
Body type you can. And then when I was recruiting, you can only see him practice one time, right? You had an athletic evaluation, and you can go back to the school and have an academic evaluation.
And you couldn't actually run the workout, right? You could just watch them do it.
No, you just had to watch the O-line guy do his thing. And so some of those things, you're going into recruit some things to take them off the list. You're going to see some kids that you're going to offer, and it's a done deal. And then you're going to go see some kids that they're going to be developmental, knowing you're not going to offer, but how far have they come since the last film or last season? And I went and saw a young man that I tagged him as a center. He was 6'2.5". This was not Kakani because he's 6 foot. But I went to high school, and all of a sudden I looked, and I'm like, wait a minute. He was 6'5". So he'd grown 3 inches. So there's also that thing you got to play with. And then the body type is how much weight can he hold, right? So if he's a narrow-shouldered kid, how developed is his lower body? Can he gain weight evenly to get to that 295 to 310 mark? Those are all things that with offensive linemen, where wide receiver is how tall are you, how long are you, how fast are you?
Hey,
do you have any drop balls?
Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. Number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Check them out online. BauscherRealEstate.com. No home is too big or small for Matt and his team. They're ready to help you out at BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets. Shop Ridley's.com. 13 locations across the state of Idaho. That McCall location already booming as folks head up there for the summer months. Don't take your empty cooler. Go to Ridley's. Get your ice, your meat, everything up there. No need to do it here in Boise. Just get it up there in McCall when you're ready to go. They got the great CUNA location as well, all across the Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, surrounding states. Ridley's Family Markets. Get them online at shopridleys.com. Transportation compliance service. You want to get into the trucking industry, they can help you out. They're a local company helping out folks all over the world, whether it's DOT, overweight permits, everything you need to get into the trucking industry. We appreciate Jeff Meinert and company for their continued support. You can get more information at transcomservice.com. Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com had a lean feast yesterday. Last couple of days I've had a lean feast. 10,000 plus combinations, healthy eating options, and just the convenience of it is what I love. Pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes and you're eating steak, shrimp, chicken, fish, and it's fully customizable. You eat a little more typically than get, 6 or 8 ounces instead of the 4 ounces. You can do whatever you want. It's fully customizable. It's good in your refrigerator for 5 days. They deliver now too, so no excuse not to eat healthy anywhere in the Treasure Valley. Check them out online at leanfeastmeridian.com. Hey, you want to leave us a voicemail? You like something on the show? You hate something you heard on the show? Let us know. Speakpipe.com/BNN. You can leave us a voicemail. It's brought to you by Signature Roofing. We'll play it on an upcoming show. Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades, whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection. Signature Roofing, all your roofing needs online at signatureroofing.com. Hey, before we wrap up the show, I do want to give another plug, Brad, for the happy hour event next week, the golf tournament coming up. We're looking forward to that. Next Thursday, you want to meet Spencer Danielson, you want to meet Leon Rice. Dirk Cutter is going to be there, and hopefully we'll get a few Coors Lights in Dirk Cutter before he gets on stage for the Q&A. We could have some fun getting some answers out of Dirk Cutter. It's going to be Thursday, a week from tomorrow, Western Collective Brewery, 6 o'clock in Garden City. You want to come hang out, support a good cause. We're raising money for the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. $35 gets you your beer, your Horseshoe Golden Ale, gets you your pizza from Uncle Bob's Pizza, and you get to hang out with some players. Speaking of offensive linemen, Roger Carreon and Cage Casey will both be there at this event on behalf of Lithia Florida Boise, along with Matt Lauder and Latrell Caples. So you can meet some players, meet some coaches, hang out, have some fun. I think Jeremiah Dickey may even make an appearance. Email me, rains@bronconationnews.com. If you are in our golf tournament, you get to come to this free of charge. Email me, though, if you want to bring some friends or buddies. We'll make it happen. If you are not part of the golf tournament, we do have limited tickets remaining. Rains@bronconationnews.com. We'd love to have you join us next Thursday, Western Collective Brewery at 6 o'clock. So final thing, Brad, as we wrap this up, overall, the O-line, again, Cage Casey's in our top 5, I believe. I mean, you have 3 offensive linemen here in the top, 25. We haven't mentioned Hall Schmidt, who did a pretty good job starting at right tackle last year in his first year. We mentioned all the other guys that are ready to fill in. I mean, overall, as we wrap up the last, 50-minute discussion here, the offensive line, yes, you lose Ashton Genty, but you have a nice stable of backs. You have, your quarterback back. You have your tight end back. I mean, there's a lot of reasons offensively to be excited about this team, I think. I know wide receivers, there's some question marks, but overall, it all probably, I know it's a cliche, but it starts up front. And to have this offensive line anchoring this offense this year, I mean, it's a pretty good place to start.
Absolutely. And that's why I think when you're returning an offensive line like this, that's why the expectations are high, right? I mean, I think if it'd be one thing, like if Ahmed, you lose Genty and you lose 4 out of the 5 instead of getting 4 out of the 5. Now you're in panic mode, right? You're like, oh my God, here we go. But with returning 4 out of 5 with your quarterback and really your playmakers for the most part, I mean, take Genty out, but I think that's why the expectations are high and deservedly so. There's not a doubt in my mind. I think this offensive line is going to go dominate. I think they should dominate. And, with the schedule, they shouldn't skip a beat. And so that's why I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited to see them practice in August and then go out and dominate and have the year that I think they should have. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind is you got a quarterback to get the ball out. You got a stable of running backs that I've made it known 1,500 yards, I think is a very good year. And that's a doable year with this offensive line. And so, that's why, we love talking about this. I love talking about this stuff because I agree with you. If you have a really good offensive line, that cuts a huge problem out. When you're sitting there petrified of your offensive line, it's now you're trying to do things game plan wise that the offensive line can handle. And now, are you getting your ball, or are you getting to the ball of the playmakers and letting them shine? So that's why this offensive line, deservedly so, is going to get a lot of credit, and I think they should dominate.
Well, Roger Carreon, number 13, and Mason Randolph, number 12, on our most important players heading into 2025. And a spoiler alert, yeah, Cage Casey, he'll be coming down the line as an even bigger piece, and we'll get into him. We'll try to line that up on a Wednesday with Brad as well. But Brad, appreciate you as always for jumping on a Wednesday. Thank you for your time. Go sell some more apparel with our friends at is it Game One?
Game One.
Game One. Anybody needs kids baseball uniforms, any equipment? Brad Bedell is your guy if you need some equipment. Game One. Brad's got you covered. He's setting records in terms of sales here in the Northwest. So
yeah. I'm driving. I'm getting it.
Game One. He's got you if you need your apparel and things. So Brad, appreciate you for jumping on. Thanks a lot, and we'll be talking to you soon. We'll have John Mallory tomorrow. We'll keep this list going here on the top 25 players list. Go subscribe. Go check out Nathan Carroll's article at BroncoNationNews.com. And if you are interested in that happy hour event, you can email me, Rains@BroncoNationNews.com. It's next Thursday, 6 o'clock, Western Collective Brewery. And as we leave you, we'll show you last year's happy hour event. This was inside at Stein Distributing. Now we're going outside, Western Collective, Beer Garden. It's going to be bigger, better. But if you're kind of curious what you potentially could be in store for, we'll leave you with that video, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.